Admiral Elena Santos stood at the observation deck of the Earth Defense Force flagship, Resilient, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing an anomaly at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. The mysterious signal had appeared 3 days ago, its pattern unlike anything in their database. More concerning was how it seemed to be adapting to their scanning attempts. "Admiral, we've finished the deep spectrum analysis," Commander Jack Chen reported, his uniform bearing the patches of both EDF Science Division and Combat Operations. "The signal, it's not just a transmission. It's some kind of quantum-encoded message, and it's old. Very old." Elena's fingers traced the edge of the worn medallion at her neck, a family heirloom that had seen 5 generations of military service. "How old are we talking about, Commander?" "Based on decay patterns, at least 50,000 years." Jack's voice carried a mix of awe and apprehension. "But that's not the strangest part. It's responding to our scans in real time, despite its age. Almost like it was waiting for us," Elena finished, her mind already racing through the implications. The last decade had seen humanity push further into space than ever before, establishing colonies on Mars and Europa, mining operations in the asteroid belt. But they had yet to encounter any sign of intelligent alien life. Until now. The holographic display flickered, and suddenly the anomaly's pattern shifted, forming into distinct geometric shapes that began arranging themselves in increasingly complex configurations. Elena watched as the ship's AI attempted to process the incoming data. "Admiral." The ship's AI, spoke with unusual urgency. "I'm detecting a quantum signature similar to our own experimental communication systems, but far more advanced. The message is beginning to decrypt itself." The observation deck's lights dimmed as additional power was diverted to the processing cores. Elena felt the subtle vibration through her boots as the ship's systems strained to handle the incoming data stream. Around her, the senior staff gathered, their faces illuminated by the pulsing blue light of the holographic display. The message resolved itself into a series of images and text, translated in real time by Araya. The story it told made Elena's blood run cold. The message was a warning, left by a species that called themselves the Archivists. They had seeded similar warning beacons throughout the galaxy, programmed to activate when a civilization reached a specific technological threshold. The warning spoke of the Zenith Collective, a hyper-advanced civilization that moved through the galaxy in cycles, identifying and assimilating species that showed particular promise in technological innovation. "The collective doesn't simply conquer," Araya translated, her synthetic voice carrying an unusual edge. "They systematically absorb the technological and biological advantages of each species they encounter, incorporating them into their own evolution. According to this data, they're due to return to this sector within the next solar year." Elena's mind raced through their options. Earth's defenses, while considerable, were designed to handle human conflicts and natural threats like asteroids. Against a civilization capable of crossing galaxies and absorbing entire species, they might as well be throwing rocks at a battleship. "Commander Chen," Elena's voice was steady despite the gravity of the situation. "I want every available quantum computer working on this data. If this warning was left by a civilization advanced enough to predict the collective's movements, there might be more than just a warning in that message. Look for anything that could help us. Weapons specifications, defense strategies, weaknesses." "Yes, Admiral," Jack nodded, already coordinating with his team through his neural interface. Elena turned to her strategic operations officer, Captain Sarah Peitel. "Sarah, I need you to model every possible first contact scenario. If this collective is coming, we need to understand their tactics, their patterns. The Archivists must have included that information for a reason." As her crew sprang into action, Elena remained at the observation window, her eyes now fixed on the distant Earth, a beautiful blue marble suspended in the void. Humanity had survived ice ages, asteroids, their own near destruction through nuclear war, and countless other challenges. Now they faced their greatest test, a technological predator that had perfected the art of hunting civilizations. But the archivists hadn't just left them a warning of doom. Hidden in the complexity of the quantum message, Alina sensed something else, a belief that humanity possessed something unique, something that might just give them a fighting chance against the collective. Araya. Alina spoke softly. In the message, did the archivists explain why they left this warning specifically for us? Why now? The AI was silent for a moment, processing. Yes, Admiral. They left a note about humanity specifically. It translates roughly to, of all the species we have observed, humans alone possess the chaos factor, the ability to take established rules and break them in ways that create new possibilities. This is what the collective cannot predict, cannot absorb. In this lies your hope. Alina's hand tightened around her medallion. Humanity had always been good at beating impossible odds, at finding solutions where none seemed to exist. Now they would need that ability more than ever. Send priority alerts to all EDF commands, she ordered, and get me a direct line to the Security Council. We have less than a year to prepare for a fight that will determine the future of our species. As the orders went out, Alina watched the holographic representation of the warning beacon, its complex patterns still shifting and changing. The archivists had given them a chance, but what they did with that chance would depend entirely on humanity's greatest strength, their ability to innovate in the face of extinction. 3 months after the discovery of the archivist beacon, Admiral Santos found herself staring at another impossible sight. The quantum sensors aboard the Resilient had detected something materializing in high Earth orbit, a vessel that seemed to bend light around it like a mirage. No heat signature, no electromagnetic emissions, Commander Chen reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. If it wasn't distorting space-time around it, we wouldn't even know it was there. The vessel was unlike anything in Earth's database. It appeared to be constructed of a material that shifted between solid and energy states, its surface rippling like liquid mercury under starlight. As Alina watched, it matched orbit with the Resilient perfectly, maintaining a distance of exactly 1,000 kilometers. Admiral, Araya's voice carried an unusual note of uncertainty. I'm detecting a transmission, but it's not coming through any known frequency. It's being transmitted directly through the quantum substrate. Alina straightened her uniform. Put it through. The holographic display flickered, and a figure materialized in the center of the bridge. It appeared humanoid, but its form was constantly shifting, like smoke given consciousness. When it spoke, its voice seemed to resonate from multiple points in space simultaneously. We are the Nixians, the figure announced. We have watched your kind since you first looked to the stars with wonder. Now we come because necessity demands it. Alina stepped forward, her posture reflecting both diplomatic openness and military readiness. I am Admiral Alina Santos of the Earth Defense Force. You've chosen an interesting time to make contact. The Nixian's form rippled. We know of the warning you received. The archivists were colleagues of ours long ago, but they could only leave warnings. We offer something more. Around the bridge, Alina's crew maintained their composure, but she could sense their tension. The Nixians were considered myths even in the archivist's database, a species so advanced they had seemingly transcended physical form. The Zenith Collective believes they have mastered the art of technological absorption, the Nixian continued. They study, they analyze, they predict, but they have become slaves to their own patterns. This is why we have chosen this moment to reveal ourselves to humanity. Commander Chen stepped forward, his scientific curiosity evident. Why us? Why now? The Nixian's form coalesced into something more solid, almost human-like, though still shifting at the edges. Because you are beautiful chaos. We have watched you take the basic principles of physics and bend them in ways that defy conventional logic. Your solutions are inefficient, imperfect, often dangerous, and precisely because of this, they are magnificent. Alina thought of humanity's history of innovation, of the Wright brothers using bicycle parts to achieve flight, of NASA getting 3 astronauts home in a crippled spacecraft using duct tape and cardboard, of the recent quantum breakthrough that came from a researcher's mistake in the lab. The collective's greatest weakness, the Nixian explained, is their belief in perfect solutions. They cannot comprehend a species that would choose a flawed but creative approach over an established efficient one. This is why they have never been able to find us, and this is why humanity has a chance. A chance at what? Elena asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. A chance to break the cycle, to show the galaxy that evolution isn't just about achieving perfection. It's about embracing the beautiful chaos of possibility. And what do you want in return? Elena asked, her years of diplomatic experience telling her there was more to this offer. The Nixian's form rippled with what might have been amusement. We want to watch, to see what humanity will do with the tools we provide. Your species has an extraordinary gift for finding paths that should not exist. The collective sees this as a flaw to be corrected. We see it as the next step in cosmic evolution. Commander Chen had been analyzing the data streaming across his console. Admiral, this is incredible. They're showing us how to manipulate quantum fields in ways we never imagined. The applications are limited only by your imagination. The Nixian finished. We offer you no weapons, no shields, no set solutions. Instead, we offer you understanding. What you create with it will be uniquely human. Elena studied the shifting form before her, weighing the implications. The Nixians were offering humanity a chance, but not a guarantee. They were providing tools, but leaving the innovation to humans. It was both an incredible opportunity and a tremendous responsibility. Time grows short, the Nixian announced. The collective approaches faster than even the archivists predicted. They sense something different in this sector. They sense you. Will you accept our assistance, knowing it comes with no guarantees? Elena looked around at her crew, seeing the mix of determination and hope in their eyes. Humanity had always faced impossible odds by finding impossible solutions. Now they were being offered the chance to do it on a galactic scale. We accept, Elena declared. But I want to be clear. We'll do this our way. We'll learn from your knowledge, but what we create will be our own. The Nixian's form brightened. We would expect nothing less from humanity. That is precisely why we chose you. As the Nixian prepared to share their knowledge, Elena couldn't help but smile. The collective thought they were hunting vulnerable prey. Instead, they were about to encounter something they had never faced before. Humanity with access to advanced principles, but still thinking in their uniquely unpredictable way. The real question wasn't whether humans could match the collective's technology. The question was whether the collective was prepared for what humans would do with it. The massive underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity. 2 months had passed since the Nixians shared their knowledge, and humanity had taken that theoretical framework in directions that would have made any conventional alien scientist question their sanity. Admiral Santos walked through the research bay, accompanied by Dr. Maya Patel, the lead scientist of Project Chaos. Around them, researchers worked on devices that seemed to defy conventional physics, and in many ways, they did. We're calling it the entropy drive, Maya explained, gesturing to a device that looked more like an abstract sculpture than a piece of advanced technology. The Nixians showed us how quantum fields could be manipulated, but it was actually an old video game that gave us the idea for the application. Elena raised an eyebrow. A video game. Maya grinned. Portal. The game mechanics of creating linked spatial gateways got our team thinking. What if we could weaponize the concept of entropy itself? Instead of fighting the chaos in quantum systems, we're amplifying it. The device pulsed with a soft blue light, its irregular geometric shapes seeming to shift slightly when viewed from different angles. What looked like aesthetic choices were actually precise mathematical forms, each angle and curve calculated to create specific quantum effects. The collected ships work on perfect prediction models, Maya continued. They calculate every possible outcome and prepare countermeasures. But this, she gestured to the entropy drive. This creates zones where probability itself becomes fluid. Their predictive systems will try to calculate every possibility and encounter an infinite loop. In another section of the facility, Commander Chen was overseeing the integration of modified consumer technology with advanced quantum principles. "We're calling these ghost swarms," he explained, pointing to what looked like thousands of modified smartphones arranged in intricate patterns. "Smartphones?" Elena asked, though she'd learned to stop being surprised by humanity's unconventional approaches. "The Nixians showed us how consciousness affects quantum fields. We realized we already had billions of devices designed to process and transmit information in complex networks. By modifying them with quantum processors and linking them in neural pattern arrays, we've created a system that thinks like a human swarm." Elena watched as the ghost swarm demonstrated its capabilities, the individual units moving in patterns that seemed random but contained deeper, almost organic logic. "And the collective won't be able to predict this because it's based on human neural patterns," Chen finished. "The same beautiful chaos that makes us unpredictable to them, weaponized through technology they'd consider primitive. The whole system runs on modified social media algorithms." The next demonstration area showcased what the development team had dubbed mirror matter. Dr. Sarah Chen, Jack's sister and a quantum physicist, stood before a material that seemed to flicker between existence and non-existence. "The Nixians showed us how to manipulate matter at the quantum level," Sarah explained. "We combined that with our understanding of metamaterials and came up with this. It doesn't just deflect or absorb energy. It reflects the exact quantum state of whatever's attacking it, but with reversed entropy." Elena watched as a test beam struck the material, only to have its energy signature perfectly mirrored back, causing both energies to cancel each other out in a spectacular display of quantum interference. "The beauty of it," Sarah continued, "is that it's adaptive. The more complex the attack, the more complex the response. The collective's tendency to use increasingly sophisticated approaches will actually work against them." Throughout the facility, similar innovations were taking shape. Each one represented a uniquely human interpretation of the Nixians' advanced principles. Where the collective would have sought perfection, humanity embraced imperfection and turned it into an advantage. "Admiral," Araya's voice came through Elena's neural link. "The Nixian observer wishes to speak with you." In a secure quantum communication chamber, Elena met with the shifting form of their alien ally. The Nixian's appearance seemed more excited than usual, its energy patterns moving in rapid, almost jubilant patterns. "You continue to exceed our expectations," the Nixian said. "We showed you quantum principles, and you combined them with social media algorithms. We explained consciousness field theory, and you applied it to consumer electronics. Every solution you create is wonderfully, perfectly imperfect." "We're using what we know," Elena replied. "Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unlikely combinations." "The collective approaches," the Nixian warned. "Their advanced scouts will reach your solar system within weeks. They expect to find a primitive species struggling to understand basic quantum principles. Instead, Elena finished, they'll find us being exactly what we are. Humans who've taken advanced knowledge and applied it in ways that probably break every rule of conventional warfare." The Nixian's form rippled with what Elena had learned to recognize as amusement. "The collective believes they understand chaos because they can predict it. You understand chaos because you embrace it. The coming battle will redefine what is possible in this galaxy." As Elena left the communication chamber, she felt a mix of pride and anticipation. Humanity had taken the Nixian's gift and transformed it in ways that honored both species' beliefs. They hadn't tried to become perfect like the collective, nor transcendent like the Nixians. They had remained uniquely human, turning their perceived weaknesses into unprecedented strengths. The real test would come soon enough. The collective was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the most advanced technology. It's the one who uses technology in ways you never imagined possible. The Collective's advanced fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the solar system, their ships perfect crystalline structures that seemed to glow with internal light. They moved with mathematical precision, each vessel's position calculated to maintain optimal tactical advantage. Admiral Santos stood on the bridge of the Resilient, watching the holographic display as the enemy approached. Around Earth, humanity's defenses waited, but they looked nothing like what the Collective expected to find. "They're scanning us," Commander Chen reported. "Their quantum probes are trying to analyze our capabilities." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Let's give them something to think about." Activate the ghost swarms. Across the solar system, millions of quantum-modified devices awakened, forming into patterns that mimicked human neural networks. The Collective's scan data suddenly became flooded with contradictory information as the swarms generated quantum noise that followed human thought patterns. The enemy fleet paused, their perfect formation holding as they attempted to process the unexpected data. Their next move came quickly, a precise strike aimed at what their scan suggested was a weak point in Earth's defenses. "Entropy drives engaged," Maya announced. The devices they'd created began their work, generating zones where probability itself became unstable. The Collective's smaller units, relying on precise tactical calculations, suddenly found their carefully planned maneuvers going awry. Through her neural link, Alina received a priority message from the Nixian observer. They are experiencing something new. The aliens' thoughts resonated in her mind. For the first time in their history, the Collective faces an enemy whose responses they cannot predict. The battle spread across the solar system, becoming something that defied conventional military analysis. The Collective's ships moved with perfect precision, only to be met by human technologies that seemed to break the very rules of warfare. When they attempted to adapt, they found themselves facing new variations of the same chaotic strategies. But the Collective was far from defeated. Their ships began to show signs of rapid evolution, attempting to absorb and adapt to humanity's defensive measures. It was their greatest strength, the ability to analyze, understand, and incorporate new technologies. "Admiral," Araya's voice carried a note of urgency. "The Collective is attempting to assimilate our quantum modifications. They're trying to understand the underlying patterns." Elena had been waiting for this moment. Execute Protocol Pandora. Across the battlefield, humanity's defenses began to shift. The ghost swarms reorganized themselves using social media trending algorithms. The mirror matter arrays began reflecting not just energy, but quantum states themselves. The entropy drives started generating probability fields based on random number generators, seeded by human emotional responses. "What we showed them before was just the first layer," Elena explained to her crew. "Now they're trying to adapt to systems that are already adapting to them." The Collective's perfect formations began to break down as their ships encountered scenarios that defied their analytical frameworks. Their attempts to predict human responses led them into deeper layers of unpredictability, each adaptation on their part triggering new variations in humanity's defenses. But victory came at a cost. Several Earth defense platforms were destroyed, their crews sacrificing themselves to maintain the chaotic defense network. The moon base took heavy damage, and Mars colony had to be evacuated. The Collective's raw power was still overwhelming, even if they couldn't fully predict where to apply it. As the battle reached its peak, Alina received another message from the Nixian observer. "There is something you should know," the alien communicated. "The Collective, they are not just fighting you now. They are experiencing fear." Alina's eyes widened. "Fear? I thought they were beyond such emotions." They built their civilization on the principle that everything can be understood, predicted, and controlled. You are showing them a universe where that is not true. The impact goes beyond tactical considerations. The Collective's fleet began to pull back, their perfect formations now showing signs of disorder. They hadn't been defeated, not completely, but for the first time in their history, they had failed to quickly overwhelm, and assimilate a target species. As the enemy retreated to regroup, Alina knew this was only the beginning. The collective would return, stronger and more adapted than before. But humanity had proven something crucial, that their unique approach to warfare, their embrace of chaos and imperfection, could stand against even the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Admiral, Commander Chen's voice was tired but proud. The collective, they're broadcasting a message, not just to us, but to the entire galaxy. The message was brief, but its implications were staggering. Humanity has achieved what we thought impossible. They have shown us that our understanding of evolution is incomplete. Elena looked out at the battle-scarred space around Earth, knowing that the real test was still to come. The collective would return, but when they did, they would face a humanity that had not just survived their first encounter, but had learned and adapted in their own unique way. The Nixians' final message of the day resonated in her mind. You haven't just survived their attack. You've shaken their fundamental beliefs. The next phase will determine not just humanity's fate, but the future of consciousness itself. 3 months after their first retreat, the collective returned. This time, their fleet was vast enough to darken the space between planets, their ships having evolved into forms that seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. But they didn't come only as conquerors. They came seeking answers. Admiral Elena Santos stood in a quantum-encrypted communication chamber aboard the Resilient, facing not just the crystalline avatars of the collective's leadership, but also the shifting form of the Nixian observer. This unprecedented meeting had been arranged after the collective had done something they had never done before. They had requested dialogue. Your species defies comprehension. The collective's primary consciousness stated, its voice a harmony of mathematical precision. We have analyzed every aspect of your defense systems, yet each analysis leads to further uncertainty. You have achieved what we thought impossible. You have weaponized unpredictability itself. Elena maintained her composure, though she could feel the weight of the moment. Perhaps that's because you're trying to understand us through the wrong lens. You see uncertainty as a flaw to be eliminated. We see it as an opportunity to be explored. The collective's avatar shifted, its crystalline structure refracting light in new patterns. We have existed for millennia, absorbing the knowledge and capabilities of countless civilizations. Each absorption made us more perfect, more complete. Yet you take advanced principles and deliberately implement them in ways that appear inefficient. Because sometimes the most effective solution isn't the most efficient one. Elena explained. Humanity's greatest achievements often came from embracing imperfection, from finding unexpected paths when the obvious ones were blocked. The Nixian observer's form pulsed with approval as Elena continued. Your civilization seeks to perfect the universe by eliminating chaos. But chaos isn't just disorder. It's the source of innovation, of creativity, of evolution itself. Around them, the quantum chamber filled with holographic displays showing humanity's defensive systems, the ghost swarms that thought like human minds, the mirror matter that turned perfection against itself, the entropy drives that transformed uncertainty into a weapon. But it also showed something else. The way these systems had evolved during the battles, changing in ways that even their creators hadn't predicted. We have discovered something unprecedented. The collective admitted. Your defensive systems, they are evolving in ways that do not follow conventional patterns. They are becoming neither more efficient nor more powerful in traditional terms. They are becoming more creative. The Nixian observer moved forward. Now you begin to understand what we saw in humanity. Evolution is not just about achieving perfection. It's about expanding the possibilities of what can be. Elena watched as the collective's avatar processed this concept, its crystalline structure shifting through complex patterns that reflected deep computational processes. You offer us a paradox, it finally stated. To evolve further, we must embrace imperfection. To become more perfect, we must accept chaos. Not embrace imperfection, Elena corrected. Embrace possibility. Every time you absorb a civilization, You gain their knowledge but lose something more valuable: their unique way of seeing the universe. You gain their solutions but lose their ability to find new ones. The chamber fell silent as the implications of this statement rippled through the quantum field. The collective's avatar began to shift more rapidly, its perfect crystalline structure showing signs of asymmetry for the first time. "We propose an alternative," Elena continued, seizing the moment. "Instead of absorption, consider collaboration. Imagine combining your computational perfection with humanity's creative chaos, not to eliminate either approach, but to explore what becomes possible when both exist together." The Nixian observer's form brightened considerably. "This is what we hoped for when we chose to reveal ourselves. Not victory through destruction, but evolution through synthesis." The collective's avatar stabilized into a new form, still crystalline, but now with patterns that didn't quite repeat, structures that weren't quite symmetrical. "What you propose, it contradicts everything we have believed for millennia. Yet we cannot deny the evidence before us. Your species has shown us that there are paths to evolution we never considered. Then help us explore those paths," Elena offered. "Your civilization has gathered the knowledge of countless species. We can help you see that knowledge in new ways, find possibilities you never imagined. Together, we could advance not just through accumulation, but through innovation." The quantum chamber hummed with energy as the collective processed this proposal. When they spoke again, their voice carried a new harmonic, one that seemed less perfect but somehow richer. "We accept. But this acceptance comes with an acknowledgement. Our definition of perfection has been imperfect." As the historic meeting concluded, Elena received one final message from the Nixian observer. "This is why we chose humanity. You haven't just survived the collective. You've shown them a new way to evolve. The galaxy's future will be neither perfect nor chaotic, but a beautiful synthesis of both." In the years that followed, the collaboration between humanity and the collective transformed the galaxy. Human creativity combined with the collective's vast knowledge led to technological and scientific breakthroughs that neither civilization could have achieved alone. The Nixians remained as observers, watching as their gamble on humanity's potential paid off in ways even they hadn't predicted. The age of absorption had ended. The age of innovation had begun. And it all started because humanity had done what it did best: finding an impossible solution to an impossible problem, and turning their greatest perceived weakness into their greatest strength. Admiral Elena Santos stood at her familiar observation window one last time before retiring, her old family medallion still around her neck. The view had changed dramatically. Earth was now a hub of galactic civilization, with ships of both human and collective design moving in patterns that were neither purely mathematical nor purely chaotic, but something wonderfully in between. She smiled, remembering the archivist's original warning about humanity's chaos factor. What had seemed like a desperate hope had turned out to be the key not just to survival, but to a new form of evolution, one that proved that perfection wasn't about eliminating chaos, but about learning to dance with it.